Joel, Jalissa, and Isaiah Macias to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Where are you? Here they come. A round of applause for the kids. Please stand.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So when I tap you for money later, this is one of the things you need to think about. An organization that gives the kids the courage to come up in front of a group of kind of grungy looking people like you and to speak up and lead us all in the pledge. The mission of the Boys and Girls Club, I'm not sure why we do this stuff. Does anybody? Yeah, okay. I'm supposed to read this chant? To enable young people, especially those who need us most, to realize their full potential as productive, responsible, caring citizens. Your job is to make sure that they all end up spending time with you and not time with me. And when it's true, when you invest in them now, they don't end up with me. I want to thank the several sponsors we have, and if there's a representative when I read their name out, please come, stand up. Union Bank, thank you. Stand up. You're recognized. We appreciate you being here. It's too bad you can't get anybody to sit with you. You got no friends. California Resources, yeah, they used to be a sponsor. California Resources Corporation, thank you. Progressive Land Management. El Pescador. It's hard to miss Chewy. He's got his picture on the side of every truck in the Santa Clara Valley. And the Santa Paula Times. Okay, and they gave me this list of dignitaries. Oh, there she is in the back. Peggy just takes her a while. All right, so I'm gonna read these people off quickly. If they would stand up, and then we're gonna applause at the end. All right, John Proctor, Santa Barbara. Whoops. Santa Paula City Mayor Diane McCall, Fillmore Mayor Pro Tem Martine Hernandez, Santa Paula City Council. You guys aren't standing up. Please stand up. Proctor, oh, there you are. No applause yet. Ginger Girardi, Santa Paula City Council. Where's Ginger? She's late, okay. Jenny Crosswhite, Santa Paula City Council. I saw Jenny. Carrie Brogy, Fillmore City Council. Dave Rollins, Fillmore City Manager. Alfonso Gamino, Superintendent, Santa Paula Unified School District. Adrian Palazuelos, I apologize if I got it wrong. Superintendent, Fillmore Unified School District. Kelly Stewart, Board Member, Santa Paula Unified School District. Chris Wilson, Board Member, Santa Paula Unified School District. Scott Balick, where are you, Scott? I apologize. I'm sorry. Board, if I just stumble like that, somebody says it for me and I don't have to get it wrong. Board Member, Fillmore Unified School District. Bill Herrera, Assistant Fire Chief, known for City of Fillmore, also known as the person that's taken the most rattlesnake anti-venom vials after getting bit by a rattlesnake on a Sheriff's Search and Rescue mission. Thank you, Bill. Steve McLean, Santa Paula Police Chief. You stand up? Oh, you're standing. I'm sorry, Steve. Oh, I love the guy. Come on. Dave Wareham, Captain, Fillmore Police. Juana McGrath, Commander. Camarillo. Chris Dunn, Commander, Ventura County Sheriff's Office. Tim Hagel, Commander, Thousand Oaks. Kevin Kildee, Camarillo City Council. And on behalf of Congresswoman Julia Brownlee, Brad Hudson, a round of applause for everybody. Thank you all for being here. It shows your support to the community that our elected officials and people involved in government are involved here. If I could have all the board of directors and all the club staff, you guys that actually do the work to help these kids, please stand up and be recognized. Come on. It's always funny, we have no problem getting the elected people to stand up, but the volunteer board members and things like that, those are the most humble people. It's always difficult to get them to stand up, so I know we appreciate all that you do. And it's now my pleasure to introduce our dynamic in mind and spirit, not necessarily stature, the CEO, Jan, of the Santa Clara Boys and Girls Club.
You're on a roll today, Jeff. Anyway, good morning. Thank you for being here. Right now, I want to introduce you to a young man that I am so proud of, Cesar Villanueva. He's a graduate of Fillmore High School, and he's going to open our new club in Piru October 1st. We're really proud of him, and he has a nice story to tell you. So let's give a warm welcome for Cesar.
I think it's funny how there's a stool there. Okay, well, first off, good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? My name is Cesar Villanueva. I am the new site director for the Boys and Girls Club in Piru. At the age of 19, I was hired as a staff in Fillmore. I was a part-time employee and also a part-time college student. I myself grew up going to the Boys and Girls Club in Fillmore, club sites North Fillmore and St. Francis. Growing up, I was raised by my grandmother. I have been attending the Boys and Girls Club since the age of 7 years old. Since then, my life has changed. Going to the Boys and Girls Club was a safe place for me. I felt like I could be myself. I felt like it was a haven. It would keep my mind busy knowing the fact that I wouldn't go home to my parents. Growing up in the Boys and Girls Club, there was a specific staff that I looked up to. Her name was Cindy Escoto. She's part of the reason why I am an independent individual today. Cindy has always given me the best advice. I myself hope that I can reach out to children the way she did and make a positive impact in young children's lives. My plan for my future is continuing my education and getting my bachelor's in psychology to help me work to the best of my ability with children in our community. My goal as a director for the Boys and Girls Club in Piru is to make it a second home for the children there. And also to help them get engaged in their community, education and social skills. I want to be able to impact minds and lives, just as the Boys and Girls Club did to mine. I feel privileged to be able to make a difference and give back to one of our communities. We are a small town, and we are also a small site, but I will make it my mission not to become another small town statistic. And as you can tell, I'm not very good speaking in front of people, but I just want to let y'all know that, this is my mission.
Caesar is an example of why we do what we do, and we're so proud of him. Just a nice example, a role model for our kids. Because remember, when the kids come to us, our staff might be the only people that ever ask them how their day was and give them a smile. And with that being said, I'd like to thank my staff, Pearl Galvan, I don't know where you are, Pearl and Janae Quintana, there's Pearl, Buddy, Maury, and all our program staff. I love getting up and going to work every day, and they're all 30 years younger than me. I love that. They can fix my cell phone. Anyway, I'd like to also give a shout out. Bob is filming katv.com. This whole event can be watched online. And if you notice the Christmas tree over in the corner, November 7th, we have an amazing event, one of our most fun, where this room has 25 Christmas trees here, and businesses sponsor them. If you want to do a Christmas tree, pick up a flyer or talk to Pearl. And I want to thank Becky Orlando for bringing in our first tree of the season this morning, but that is an awesome event, November 7th. Also, on your way out today, there's going to be some lemons, and feel free to pucker up and get filmed. As you saw earlier, our kids are in a national commercial for Limonera about puckering up, so the lemons will be out there. One more shout out, and that's to my board member Andy Van Skyber. He's been fighting fires for 2 weeks and came home safely with a crew from Santa Paula. So, volunteers. Volunteers are so crucial and important to the club, and with them we have an extra pair of hands, another mind, just amazing people. And our volunteer of the year this year from Santa Paula, Mary Dinas, you want to stand, please? And let me tell you a little bit about Mary. First and foremost, Mary is a new grandma as of yesterday, so she's excited about that. Mary is our bookkeeper, but not only is that what she volunteers for, is she is the vision and the mission for our auction dinner each year in February up at Satacoy Country Club. Mary comes in, and she comes in about a week after the auction with big boards like HGTV, the big boards with fabrics, colors, pictures of what the centerpieces are going to be like for next year. And then she spends hundreds of hours creating each centerpiece. And we just appreciate Mary so much. And I really consider her a friend, but mostly because she doesn't block me on her cell phone. Thank you, Mary. We'd like to recognize Mario Ortega. Is Mario here? Mario. Mario has helped Buddy year after year with SNAP. And why you might think, what's the big deal about SNAP? Well, it doesn't matter if it's a school day, a non-school day, summer, winter. Fillmore has hundreds of kids every day. Minimum of 100 up to 160, and to get SNAP out and organized in a small amount of time. Mario, thank you for what you do there. We appreciate having you there every day. Thank you, Mario. So Mike Mobley's going to join me on stage for a minute with the Jeremiah Milbank Award, and he doesn't need the step. Thank you. And Dorcas Steele will be coming up with Mike. Dorcas might want the step. No.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So Jeremiah Milbank was one of the original founders of the national organization called the Boys and Girls Club of America. The Jeremiah Milbank Society was established in 2004 to encourage and recognize donors who make unrestricted annual gifts of $10,000 or more to the Boys and Girls Clubs in their own communities. This morning, we honor Dorcas Thill with another one of her many Jeremiah Milbank Society awards. Dorcas, on behalf of the Board of Directors, the staff, and all of our club kids, I want to thank you for your continued, overwhelming generosity.
I will say this again this year, but my father years and years ago said, invest in the community in which you live to make it be the community you want to live in. So I challenge all of us to continue to do that.
So I'd also like to recognize the other Jeremiah Milbank Society Award winners who this year were not able to join us. And they're listed in your program: Richard and Patricia Fritsch, and Richard and Betty Hyde. Thank you very much.
It's so neat to see great people in the community. As I look around, I've been around in this job like 38 years. I see Nan Harrison and her date. Harrisons are always everywhere. I see Sheila Tate in the background that came over from Morport and worked for free for a long time when this club has struggled and it had its ups and downs. And it's just neat to see everybody come together. I didn't know that Jan was going to say nice things about firemen. I get a little tired of hearing that. Especially Andy. Andy is a key member of one of our search and rescue teams, and actually we only let him stay on because of Marlene, his wife, because she's such a doll and we all love her. But no, he has been up fighting fires for how long? How long were you up there, Andy? Yeah. So. We appreciate what they do, and these fires are certainly, we've been very lucky down here so far this year. These fires have been devastating Northern California, and as tough as it is for me to say, we are grateful for the work of the firefighters. Everybody likes them, it just drives me nuts. Can't stand it. So it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, and I've been practicing his name like 15 times because it's spelled S-T-Y-N. So yeah. So it rhymes with win. So it's John, S-T-Y-N, rhymes with win. Stint, there we go. Look at that. John is a co-founder and former Chief Wisdom Officer of Fresh Realm and advisor to the Ventura Mayor's Office for VenturaKindness.com. He is the author of Love More, Fear Less, and has won Webby Awards for his personal site and his own Love on Demand video podcast, HugNation.com. He hosted the NBC.com web series, Fears, Regrets, and Desires, and co-founded First Saturday's homeless outreach program in San Diego. I was lucky enough to go to one of John Lockhart's events at his business, and it's really an incredible business that he has going, so it's great to see her today, and please join me in welcoming John Stint.
Hashtag breakfast of champions, selfie. Thank you very much for that nice intro, Sheriff. There's one element that you missed in that. One of my qualifications is something I share with a elite group that includes Mr. Clean, Aunt Jemima, and Orville Redenbacher. My face is on a box of hair dye, that is in every CVS, every Walmart, all across the country and internationally. So if I look familiar, it's because I got my eye on you from the hair aisle. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, sweet, I was hoping we would have a chance to talk about hair dye. Unfortunately, I'm here to share a little bit about my grandfather. My grandfather, Reverend Caleb Sheichels, he was a Baptist minister his whole life. Started out his life very fire and brimstone, real rough, and over the course of his life, he just softened like a rock in a river and just started to get more and more in tune with just love. Even more in tune with all sorts of beliefs, by the end of his life calling himself a Baptist Buddhist. And he found himself, as he tried to follow in the steps of his teacher Jesus, trying to sometimes go at odds with what his church was doing, but following what his heart was. And so he got very involved in civil rights, in women's rights, in gay rights. This was a picture that was hugely influential to me growing up. My grandpa's the one on the left. And having this picture as a part of my growing up just had a powerful effect on my worldview, because you hear about Martin Luther King Jr. and it's like a mythical figure. It's like Godzilla or Santa Claus or something like that. But here I had this photograph next to my grandfather, and so great men and women are not them, it's us. Now, my grandfather was known to be a kind man, a gentleman, and a very humble man. I have not had that reputation. I discovered the internet in the early days and became just so excited about the idea of broadcasting your life to the world. I became so intoxicated by the idea of sharing my epic myth that, well, some people said I took it too far. At one point, I even moved into a webcam house where there was cameras, 24 cameras in the entire house, 24 hours a day. Everything I said, everything I did, every shower I took, everything was broadcast for the entire world to see. Now we call that Facebook. But at the time it was considered rather insane. While I was living in this house, we tried a bunch of experiments trying to use technology to connect people. Because it was the first time that we really could, really have conversations with people anywhere. And while I was living in this house, 9/11 happened. And suddenly the me of look at me seemed a little silly. And if you remember right after the horror, that unity that happened, there was this feeling like maybe this is the thing that's going to snap us into a new way of interacting with one another. Maybe this is going to make us change. Maybe this is going to actually have a real long-term effect on this kind of brotherhood, sisterhood. And not soon after that, the narrative changed into us and them, us and them, us and them, and we went on to a path towards more conflict. But as this is happening, I'm living in this webcam house, super excited about the web and what it can do, feeling like there is no them, there's only us. We're one click away from connecting. Why can't we find a way to use the internet to show that? So we started something called Hug Nation, where we had people all over the world get in front of their webcams, hug themselves, and just recognize that no matter what you hear on the news, that all around the world, people would rather hug you than hurt you. And it was a beautiful idea, and it didn't take off at all. Until about 3 years later, when my grandmother passed. And I went to go see my grandpa after that, and He'd been a minister his whole life. He'd helped thousands of people go through transition. But this was his partner of 65 years and his driver. Because he also had this theory that God looked after him when he went through intersections. And the DMV has strict rules about that. So I went to go see him, not knowing how he was going to be affected by this. And I was like, "Hey, Grandpa, how's it going?" And he said, "Did you know that for $4 I can get a shuttle anywhere in the city?" So I went down to the CVS with a list of things, and I said, "Excuse me, my wife has recently changed her residence to heaven. Could you help me find a few things?" And I was like, "Man, Grandpa, you always help me see the glass is half full." And he leaned back, and he looked me in the eyes, and he said, "It's a beautiful glass." And I had this lightning bolt hit me. Like, all the things that I learned how to do about broadcasting to the world, about putting that epic myth of mine across the internet, I knew then I had learned to do all these things so that I could hand the microphone over to this beautiful old man. And so I asked him, and he became my co-host of Hug Nation. And so once a week I would go over to his retirement village, which, side note, when he was on his own for like the first time and he got to decorate his own room, it looked like a freshman in college. Things all over the walls. It was hilarious. But I would go visit him. We would have lunch down in his cafeteria at his retirement village. He'd go upstairs, fire up his webcam, and we'd co-host this Hug Nation. And I would ask him stories about his life, and he would share things. And after a while, it became clear that he would tell the same story a couple times, and it wasn't ever about the story. It became obvious that what we were really tuning into was this intense state of gratitude that he had. He would stop mid-walk and be like, "I love that tree." He would sit down when we go to have it in his cafeteria. He'd be like, Doris, would you mind? Could you tell us all our options for dessert?" There's 14 options. I have 14 options for dessert. It's amazing. I've never had it so good. And so we did that for several years, and as he was getting into his 94th year, he started to get sick, his body broke down, and so we started hosting in the hospital. They've got Wi-Fi in there, so I would bring the laptop up to his bed and fire it up, and we would continue hosting. And at one point, I went and visited him, and he wasn't doing very well at all. He was, mouth was super dry from all the medications. He had all these things stuck in his arm. I walked in the door, like, "Hey, Grandpa, how's it going?" He said, "The doctors treat me so good here. Modern science is amazing. What an adventure." Seriously? Seriously? With all those things to complain about, that was his story? And that is so significant. He's not with us anymore to give those reminders, but I have a little trick that I'm going to share that will hopefully get you into grandpa mode. At every moment in your life, you've got an ice cream cone in one hand and one foot in dog crap. At every moment in your life, you've got aches and pains and people that don't like you, you got work you got to get done. And at every moment in your life, you've got sunsets, your favorite food, laughing babies. At all times, both of those things exist. And the degree in which you enjoy your life, the degree in which you live in heaven or hell, is determined by where you place your focus. And I don't mean that you pretend like there's no crap. If you know where the crap is, walk around it. If you have time to chip away at the crap, do so. But what I mean don't set down your ice cream cone and go, "You have got to smell this." We have a really bad habit in our culture of bonding over our complaining. And when you can start to practice and start to really focus on gratitude, life's pretty amazing. And when you start to really sink into gratitude and really start to recognize all your blessings, you get to this state of abundance and richness. My grandpa had a secondhand computer and a poorly decorated dorm room and really no money at all, but he was one of the most wealthy men you will ever meet. And he taught me another lesson that took me a while to get. He taught me about gifting. For the last few years of his life, every time a birthday or Christmas came up, by the way, I saw that tree and I freaked out. I'm like, did I lose a few months? Whoa. But every time it was a gift situation, he would give me a gift for someone else. So like heifer.org is one of those groups that do that. You give like a cow to a community, or you give like a pair of ducks or a pair of goats. I'm not sure how it works. Apparently the two of the same animal can create more animals. That's another talk, but it's fascinating. One year he actually gave me a human slave, or he bought a woman out of slavery in Thailand. And I knew that that was a good thing, and I knew that I should feel good about that. I really wanted an iPad. And it took me a while to really get gifting. It actually took me going to Burning Man. Is anyone familiar with what Burning Man is? It's not what you think if you haven't been there. It is a temporary city. For 1 week, a city is created of 60,000, 70,000 people in the Nevada desert. For 1 week, it's the 4th largest city, and it has its own set of rules. Among those is there's no commerce, there's no vending, there's no money, there's only gifting. And when you first hear that, you think, oh right, barter, I'll bring things to trade. No, that's barter. Barter is just like our system here, where it's a transactional system where you have something of this value, I have something of equal value, plus 1, minus 1, it's a sums out 0. We both feel good, fine. Gifting is like Christmas morning. When you have a gift you know a kid's gonna like, and they open it up, they tear it up, and they're like, yeah, plus 1. You see them get excited, and you go, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 2. It's crazy how that changes things, because you start to get excited about doing good for other people. You get excited about other people's joy. You start to feel like this narrative that I've been given my whole life, that for me to be happier, I need to get things, I need to add things, I need to get more status, more stuff, might be a little skewed. If I need to wait in line in a sleeping bag on 4th Street Promenade to get the new phone, if my life is that awesome that that's what I need to add to my life, there's something amiss. But when you start realizing there are billions of opportunities to be kind to people that will actually make you happier, it totally changes everything. And part of that is also, we all have to learn how to be good receivers. Like if you get to be, when you cook a meal for your friends, that's a gifting experience. You want them to be happy about it. You want them to enjoy it. It makes you feel good. If they left you a 20 on the table as they left, that would suck. That would turn it into a transaction. I could talk about that a lot, and I do talk about gifting a lot, so I'll just leave you to chew on that, learning how to enjoy giving and be a good receiver. It's easy to practice gifting when you're in the middle of the desert with a bunch of weirdos. I get that. But how does that work in the real world? And I think that's a valid question. The fact that you guys are in this room means that you probably are about 6 steps ahead of most people about how powerful gifting can be and how it can feel. But when I got going to Burning Man for a few years, I started a group with some high school friends. We all got together. We all had very diverse paths in life, but realized after a while that being of service is really what we wanted to have more of in our lives. And so we started a group where every first Saturday of the month in San Diego, we bring out donated clothes and meals, and actually if there's law enforcement here, we don't give away meals. We don't give away any food that we didn't, damn. We give away things that people need because we've learned that it just feels so good to be able to lift somebody up. And we gather first and have a talk about it because it can be very hard, I think, to go out and try to heal the world because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. At the end of a day of serving soup, there's still thousands of people that are hungry, and they're going to be hungry the next day. But shifting to a gifting idea where you just, instead of going, I'm here not to solve this problem, I'm here to do kindness in this moment. And then I can have a victory every time. Every mouthful is a win, win, win. Instead of doing things all day long and ending every day with, still lost. And the cool thing about that awareness and feeling the joy from others' joy is that you can kind of be selfish about doing good in the world. You don't have to do good in the world because you should or you're supposed to, or to alleviate the guilt of all the good stuff you have. You just start to do good because it's the easiest way to get happier. You can still be a cocky bastard and also be a philanthropist. Who knew? This is exciting for me. And I have to be honest, I hadn't visited a Boys and Girls Club in over 30 years until last week. My first job out of college, I got a psychology degree at Caesar, so you're on track. Actually, you're much farther ahead, because what happened was, after I got my degree, before I went to grad school, or wanted to go to grad school, they told me that I should get some experience in the field. So I went to go work at a place called the Boys and Girls Treatment Center. I know it's not the same thing, but the brain makes connections, and I had associations. Hear me out. So at the Boys and Girls Treatment Center, it was a group home with extremely damaged children. Lots of abuse, very violent. We had a staff of 3 in charge of 12 boys, and lots of restraining. My first day on the job, a kid chased me with a rake. And the last day, after 2 years that I was there, the same kid tried to stab me with a fork. There wasn't a lot of progress. These kids were really messed up. And honestly, that shifted me away from service. I was like, it just was so draining. I said, okay, I guess there's some people who have it in them to do good and fight the darkness, but I only have it in me to spread light. So I'm gonna try to spread goodness and hope that there are these saints out there that can fight the dark. And over the last 25 years, I finally figured out that it's the exact same thing, except with a different attitude. That if you go out to fight the darkness of hunger, at the end of the day, you've lost. And where do you fill your well? But if you go out to try to just spread some light and fill a belly, then you end the day with like, yes, I did so good. So I went and visited the site last week and was so touched. Partially because of my associations, I was a little worried that I was going to get stabbed with a fork. And these kids were so awesome. These kids, now you probably don't see it because you just see my essence, but I have bright pink hair, which often brings people, especially young people, to be in a teasing, taunting mood. I walk in, these kids are all, I love your hair, cool hair, man, cool hair. I'm like, what? They're super like in line, they're listening to the people who are having them go to have homework hour. I walk in, I'm like, let's play. They're like, oh, it's our homework time. I'm like, what? So these kids were not the damaged things that I had memories of. These were awesome kids. These were kids who were on their way to being awesome members of our society, being the kind of community that we want to be in. And they just need a grandpa or a Caesar or the resources to keep on the track that they're on, to be amazing people in this community. So I hope we all feel like we have the ability to get joy from helping these kids, lifting them up and bringing them light. I kind of wish my grandpa was still around so he could kind of see me finally get it. And in a lot of ways he is. For one thing, I told the story about the beautiful glass to a documentary crew 2 years ago. They put that clip online last week and it went viral. So in the last week, 10 million people have watched me tell that story about my grandpa. So he's still a thick part of my life. Or or I'm still riding his coattails, depending on how you look at it. But also when he passed, I took some of his ashes and I brought it to the temple at Burning Man. And I also bought a 24-foot RV. I painted it pink and had wings put on the side. And I had his ashes mixed into the paint job of the wings. So now as I go on adventures and go visit places to give talks about his stories and his wisdom, he's there. And so what I'd like to close with and share with you is one of the helpings of cone, one of the tastiest cones I know, which is a little clip of my grandfather. This is from a Halloween episode that I went to his place and we dressed up, and you'll see why the pink wing has become such a symbol for me.
But we're growing, and I still have hope for my world that, like you, as you hug me and I hug you, in my imagination and my mind, we're tied together. We're all brothers and sisters on this planet, and we must somehow learn to live together. So you only live once.
That's right.
Enjoy the color and let yourself go in the joy and the experience of being a privilege to live in a day when you can do this kind of thing. Reach around the world. We live in a world we need to get positive about things and rejoice in the gift of life. That's right.
So once a week we try to remind ourselves
We do.
to
Hug you.
to hug one another and focus on the good. So let's give ourselves a hug.
And you hug yourself. My brother, my sister, we are related. And mind is God. Mind is this part of it. Whatever the creative is, that's you and I are part of it. And we have the power to choose and to think good thoughts after whatever creative force made us.
So when we tune into gratitude and recognize how abundant when we are, and when we tune into gifting and realize the joy we can get from others, we all have the ability to be great men and women. Thank you so much.
And I had met John once before at his business and actually talked about his business with a discussion, so I wasn't taken aback this morning when I saw the pink hair, but incredible talk this morning. Thank you for sharing with us. Very inspirational, and you can tell that it really, really comes from your heart. It's kind of, when you sit at events like this, and a lot of you go to events all the time, you always hear kids, and it's kind of neat. I hear the baby cooing, and that's our life. That's our life cycle. It's really neat. And then this, I hope I don't embarrass you, but she's over there, and the young girl is obviously a little bored. Not that she was bored with you, but mom's got a rubber glove from somebody and blew it up, and she's playing with it. And it's all about Boys and Girls Club is like, it's a family. And we're taking care of our kids, we're taking care of our future, and this is, these two great people over here taking care of their kids, and that beautiful baby is kind of what we're all about. And it's just, that was a great talk. That was really very good. It's now my privilege to introduce John Lockhart from People Media to come up and share a few words with you.
Jeff. So I'm John Lockhart, I'm from Fillmore, and I'm here to talk to you about 126 reasons why you need to know about Club 126. So reason number one is because Jan says I have 12.6 minutes to tell you about it. Just kidding. Because Sheriff Jeff says we can all drive 126 miles per hour to make it to our next meetings. Reason number three is because there's at least 126 things to do in Santa Paula. I just can't remember them all right now. And reason number four is because there's at least 126 kids in the Santa Paula, Fillmore, and Pyro areas, the greater Santa Clara River Valley, that can be helped by people like us. Okay, that's the reason we're here today. To ask people like us to help the kids in this area to get what they need to be all they can be. 126. It was here on the 126 that Jan, Marlon, and I were having lunch a few months back. After we paid our $12.60 at our favorite Mexican restaurant, we talked about what we can do to help our kids. Why not get 126 people to give $126 a month? That's only $4.20 a day. And what's 126 anyway? That's a nice dinner out. You can skip and give to the kids instead. But think of the multipliers. 126 per month from 126 friends gives $15,876 more dollars to the Boys and Girls Club of this valley every month. That's $190,512 in 1 year. That's $953,000 in just 5 years, almost $1 million from poor schmucks like us. And you had to ask, in 126 years, that's $12 million. I signed up immediately. Now every month through PayPal, I send in my 126 bucks to Jan. But you can use your credit card, your debit, or checking account too. I asked Donald Trump to do the same thing when he was here last week. We're still waiting on that one. Now I'm asking you to join Club 126. It's such a small amount that it can do so much. There's pledge forms at your tables, and please join us in Club 126. Thanks much.
So I don't know what touched your heart today. If nothing touched your heart today, then you're pretty ice cold, because there was, whether it's those three beautiful young kids coming up early, leading us to the Pledge of Allegiance, whether it was our young children we have with us, whether it was John's incredibly inspirational talk about kindness and helping others. It makes a difference. It starts right here. Talk is cheap. It's great. Trying to expand Anna to Piru is an incredible undertaking, and expanding and maintaining programs here. But it takes money. That's the bottom line. That's what it is. So you got to think. You came here for free. What are you willing to do? I thought the 126 number was a pretty good number. I'll double that. I'm in for 250 for me. I know my captains and my commanders are in for 126. They just found that out. I bought several of them dinner last night. It cost me plenty more than that. So look deep in your hearts. Look what's right. And think about the kids. Thinking about making a difference. There's the pledge cards right there. Pick them up now. Come on, start moving. Start moving. Y'all got to drive through part of my area when you get back. It can be easy or it cannot be easy. It's up to you. There's captains at each table. There's an envelope. Fill it out. And like John said, John's a marketing sales guy. I don't really have to sell what I do. You guys are kind of stuck with it. But what's 126 bucks this morning, and it's really not that much. So please fill that out and do that. It might be a good time to think about starting your annual Club 1 or your monthly Club 126 donation. But do it this morning, and please make a difference. For those of you a little slow with writing, I'm going to just stand here and watch. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you. It's an investment in the future is what it is. It's an investment to keep all of our kids away from the bad part of those of us in uniform sometimes. Okay, and you can turn the envelopes in the registration area. I know Jan's going to come up here and say thank you, but from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your morning. I know everybody has very, very busy lives and very busy schedules, and on behalf of the entire board of directors and all the staff, I know they're very grateful because they work their tails off every day to make a difference in these kids' lives. So with that, thank you, and Jan.
I want to thank all of you for coming today, and then I'd like to thank both Jeff and John, and I have a presentation for them. I thought this morning was awesome, truly awesome, and thank you all for being here. And don't forget to pucker up on your way out, get a flyer for the Christmas tree program, and please thank our host today. Picture.